Around 30,000 people have turned out for ceremonies in Canberra, which came with a reminder of Indigenous Australians who served in our Defence Forces. Looming over the commemorations was the Defence Strategic Review, which was released just yesterday and outlines the nation's plans for a new look military force.
A quiet and reflective moment before the Canberra dawn. The silence pierced by the sound of a didgeridoo. Tens of thousands gathered at the War Memorial, where Prime Minister Anthony Albanese delivered a moving address.
We gather before the dawn because they did. Picture those first Anzacs, far from home, huddled in their boats, waiting, wondering.
Admitting that not all who defended our country have been honoured as they should have been.
We must acknowledge the truth that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who donned the khaki fought harder for Australia than Australia was sometimes willing to fight for them.
A lone bugle player heralded the first rays of morning light, followed by the New Zealand and Australian national anthems. Later in the morning, veterans representing more than a century of battles marched in front of the National Memorial in their honour. The parade was led by those who took part in a peacekeeping mission to Somalia, 30 years after Operation Solace began.
Once a year, veterans come out and they're never alone. They walk together and they walk with their mates and they walk with the Australian people.
Governor-General David Hurley led the 1st Battalion of the 1st Australian Regiment in that conflict and joined today's march.
Marching with your mates is one of the most satisfying of life's experiences. We are a people who care and we look after our mates and our neighbours. That is part of the Anzac legacy that we are all part of and that we all own.
A special service honoured First Nations servicemen and women.
By coming here and showing your support, you have taken us from secret history to a history today that is mainstream.
The service was attended by the Chief of Defence. There are growing calls for Anzac Day to include recognition of Indigenous Australians' resistance to colonising European forces in the frontier wars.
My concern is that the Aboriginal community of Australia gets the dignity of resistance. As you would imagine, the Aboriginals were extremely good guerrilla fighters. Given the fact that they have this almost symbiotic understanding of the ground on which conflict was being conducted.
The commemorations came just 24 hours after an announcement of the biggest change to Australia's military posture since World War II, the government revealing a new mission for the nation's defence forces.
I am absolutely appalled that this Prime Minister and this Defence Minister are so out of touch to release the Defence Strategic Review the day before Anzac Day.
There are important points of contest and debate that need to be had around the government's decision-making and their processes there, but none of us wish to politicise the occasion of Anzac Day.
Joel Philp, Sky News, Canberra.